Catherine here. It's about 1 PM, Saturday the 3rd of February 2024. We're here right at the back door. So this backyard's about 9 metres long, north to south, so looking along the edge of the building, north. And east to west it's about 6 metres wide. And as you say, as soon as you step out the door, it's chock full of plants. Bigger of the castor oils there. Obviously these ones survived the winter with some damage. The 2 Mexican palms there. One of them's got the castor oil just self-sprouted in it, in the same 100-litre tub. I started this in the morning and got rained on. It's cloud today, the sun's trying to break through, whereas of course the cloud gives a better angle for the light. New Zealand only has one species of palm, native, the Nikau, although it's several different versions of it. This is the Chatham Islands, Pitt Island, being small islands 500 miles out to sea east of New Zealand. They've got their own sub-variety. They're very slow growing. In the front, although you can't really tell, as 3 of them are actually bangalow palms from New South Wales. I've seen some little seedlings. Now, as you see, if I hold this camera up at head height, I have to do a real duck to get under this one. It's grown a branch right out to the side. But I left it because it's got a big seed head on it. Right, I have to duck down to get there. Here I am halfway to the fence. I've already cut this poplar pretty much down to about 6 feet high, 2 metres high, earlier this year. It's grown all that much. Because it's in the ground, it's got huge roots, obviously. There's a shirt tying up a seed thing so I can collect all the seeds. You can see just behind it, further back, is another seed head from the castor oil plant. Obviously those seeds will scatter. The ones will be trapped by this shirt. I've tied it up like a big bag, you see, to capture them. Still allow ventilation, air and that. They'd already been pollinated and formed. So here we've got a mixture of the Loquat, all seed grown by myself, pomegranate seed grown. Sorry, the Loquat, that one Loquat comes up from, that was actually a bought grafted one. It's still only in a bucket sized pot. The pomegranates of seeds I grew, the Carob seeds I grew. These are bootia palms. They come from South America. They give an edible fruit. Where I'm standing now is about where the camera was located in those 2016 shots showing planting the palms, and that's the trunk there in the background is the one we planted, and that one was planted afterwards but it's not filmed. A year or so ago I was sent over 100 little seedlings, basically a seed like a pea that sprouted with a blade of grass attached, of the Trachycarpus, the cold tolerant Chinese palm, Trachycarpus fortunei. And I potted them up into little 3s and 4s, and the vast majority survived. And just the other day, only about 2 days ago, I started to separate out the ones that looked healthiest, and so I've separated them out into singles. I did that with 32 altogether. A few of them I'll leave together as 2s and 3s, in which case if the plant was ever bigger it would just get planted as a 2 or as a 3. That's Aurelia fatsia japonica, the thing that looks a bit like a castor oil, it isn't, and they grow in part shade to full shade. They prefer the shade, they can take full sun, they go all yellow. So this area's where it gets a bit of morning sun, that's why these palms are here for now. And I'll back up, and again, to get through here I have to do the grovel. Some more palms in 40-litre pots. That's a pot of dead thing, just ready for the dirt to be recycled. One of these has got an albizia in it, in the same pot. As you see, it's up about 5 metres high. Anyway, they're all friends together. This table was all full of these pots of 3 or 4 Trachycarpus seedlings each. So as you see, I've taken, well, in fact I've got 32 individually planted, so I potted up about 10 or 11 of them the other day. These few individuals over here are some of them. So they're in pretty much full sun, as full sun gets, as I can get. And the things in the larger pots here, these are Acacias, Acacia etiophylla. Again, they're all seed grown from my own seed. I brought in these seeds one of my earlier trips to New Zealand, and they were approved by customs at the time. So they come from South Australia, very hardy to desert dry conditions. They can tolerate some frost, and they can certainly grow in Christchurch. They may not be able to grow very far inland or very far much further south. Even where I was in the wheat belt of West Australia, some of them would suffer some damage in some winter frosts. So, but I'd had a bunch of little wee ones, so I've potted them up into some more middle-sized pots. I recently got given a bunch of plastic pots, and that's one reason I've got into this bunch of potting up happening lately. So here we are, almost at the end corner, opposite the house door. You can see a lattice there, but there's 1.5 meters of plants to get through to get to the lattice. So, and that's obviously a bedroom window there. Apple tree, it was all distorted last year and mal-shaped, so I had to cut it back into a shape. So I didn't get any apples off it this year because I really had to cut it back. But it's got lots of nice new growths happening. I'm thinking this winter I will take off most of them for structure, to shape it. And I will, as it's an old variety of apple, Cox's Orange, it should have a pretty good chance of growing from cuttings. So I'll have lots of nice straight bits ready to use as cuttings, and we'll see how they go. Turning around a bit, this is another Loquat that was actually a grafted one I bought. It's in a tub, and you can see a bit more of the Carob tree foliage. Some of them are be over 3 meters high, but they've sort of gone a bit lanky and that because they really want to be in the ground, and they really want to be a proper little bush or tree. But as it is, they're in the biggest of them in 10-litre pots. There's a few in some smaller pots and some smaller ones there. I've been trying the ones that are the longest and lankiest to pinch the tips out to get them to bud up a bit. But really they need to be trees in the ground to become the nice, dense, bushy, shrubby, small tree that they do become. Only the females bear the pods, which have the edible parts, obviously. Very, very drought tolerant, and certainly frost tolerant, plenty enough for Christchurch conditions. I don't know how much further than inland or south you could go. So yeah, good height. That poplar, I cut down all the part of it that I didn't want. So actually it's regrown more. But anyway, that's alright, that's what's here. And we've got our banana passion fruit here, which is all in a pot. So it's constrained. We've got 3 there, all in pots. It's kept them very constrained. Haven't had any fruit off them. I'm just pushing down on the fronds a little bit. Oh, that's a hydrangea. I had to cut off a couple of wind damaged flowers, bits that got broken, they were a bit lunky. Hydrangea grows in the shade, and in this climate they don't like full sun. Certainly in Perth they want shade, and they only have a few flower clusters, I guess you'd call them, but they stay flowering for absolute months and months for the one flower cluster. You wouldn't believe it. And in the background there, sitting on top of that 200-litre barrel, is a whole lot of little Aralias. Fatsia japonicas. Fatsia japonica. And this is of course the cotton palm, the Mexican cotton palm with the very thorny leaf stalks. I've got more stuff under here, which again you've got to wiggle to get into and be careful of all the thorns. So we've got as much packed in here as we can get, really. And we'll head back. The washing line, there's enough of it available for when it's needed, just. More pomegranates here, these are seed grown ones. Some of them are now 10 years old, yeah. Yep. Some of the oldest ones I've got seed grown 10 years old. And just lots and lots. This cotton palm frond is starting to go yellow. You don't want to cut them off too early. It takes the plant a while to take the last of its vitamins out of the decaying out of the old fronds. So try not to cut the frond until it really is past it. And lots of little loquats there as well in those little pots. Right, we'll head back. We've got to bend down like this. Walk all the way through. Yes, a kind person in Auckland sent me over 100 little sprouted seeds of Trachycarpus fortunei. As I say, at the time they were like a blade of grass with the peas still attached, and amongst them were 3 of these bangalow palms, which come from New South Wales. They can take a little hint of frost. I think these are also considered a pest in Auckland now, just like the Chinese fan palm is the Trachycarpus fortunei. But yeah, these are my my New Zealand Nikau palms from the Pitt Island of the Chatham Islands, which are considered very slightly faster growing for one of the slowest growing plants that there is. So they reckon it can be up to 30 years if you want to see some trunk on them. So that's but someone imported seeds into Auckland 40 years ago, and those trees are now big enough to be giving seeds, and they're sharing them around. Because they're native to such a small area, there's a very real chance that they could be made extinct. So that's one reason why they wanted to spread that variety around. And they do, although they get less frost there, they get a lot of cold and damp and drizzle. They get rain half of every 180 days of the year. So there is a so they're just a bit more tolerant, but they're not quite so tolerant of direct sun or maybe hard frost, given that even the South Island version of the Nikau palm can only take a hint of frost at the best of times anyway. Alright folks, this is the, hopefully it's been recording, this is the, otherwise I'd be very disappointed, this is the end of the backyard tour, and the front yard tour will come soon.